Joe,
Yes.
are we on?
Not yet.
I see we have some people who are in my attendees that I see are from some of the local establishments and public offices. And I just want to make sure who is speaking and who isn't. Usually I just shout out your name if I see you on the attendee list and assume that you forgot to sign up. So if there's anybody, I see like Morris is on here from the library. Can you just let me know if you're going to speak? I see Frank Fontana. I know you're here sometimes, but I don't know if you always want to speak. So if you don't want to speak and I just shout out your name, just give me a pass because we're trying to keep the public session to a manageable level if we can. Okay. I hear a dog. It's not mine.
Okay, we're on live. Right? Do you see it live?
Yes,
we're live.
Yes. Okay, we're live.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Community Board 10, May 17th, 2021 General Board meeting. Like to start out our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, as we always do. So if we can start, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
and
liberty and justice for all. Indivisible. I don't know what happened.
I would like to, for those of you who are not speaking, please remember to put yourselves on mute so we don't get a lot of background noise. I would call for an adoption of the agenda.
Joe.
I have Joe and Sandy on a second, and an adoption of the minutes. Larry and Marissa, thank you. Oh, Judy, sure, you too. And now I'd like to get to the public session. We are going to try, really this time, to keep the public session down to 10 minutes. So I would implore my speakers to try to keep your speaking time to 2 minutes, and we will have Dorothy on the buzzer hitting her little bell just to remind you if you've gone over. I have Tori Kelly from Senator Andrew Gennardis's office. Tori.
Hi, everybody. Lori, I will try to be so fast.
Thank you.
But my name is Tori Kelly. I'm from the office of Senator Andrew Gennardis. He's sorry he can't be with you guys this week, but he will try to get him next month. I will give you a quick legislative update. Our bill that he's very excited, the sleep bill, which is finally cracking down on those like loud muffler and exhaust systems that our community is sort of haunted and plagued by. That bill last week passed the Finance Committee and is now on the floor, aging on the floor for the Senate. So we're very hopeful to pass it this year. I think that would honestly make all of our night's sleep much more restful. Some community updates. Last week we started our community cleanup series along with the councilman. Our next one will be next Wednesday. We're meeting on 13th Avenue and Bay Ridge Parkway. They'll be every other week on this and CB10 and a little bit of 11 for this side of the district. Today, the senator was also thrilled to join the councilman, District Manager Josephine Beckman, and all the merchant groups to announce the open streets and summer strolls that are coming back this summer. That's not all that's coming back. You know, we have our yoga and fitness in the park that we are excited to get started. The first one will be June 19th. And also kind of stay tuned for some other programming and summer events that, you know, our community loves that we'll be announcing soon. And lastly, to keep on time, I want to just remind everyone of our community pantry that's out front of our office on 8018 Fifth Avenue. You can donate at any time, non-perishable foods. You can also pick up food at any time. It's like kind of the large red closet that's out there. And we're always looking for donations. So anything is very appreciative and necessary. So With that, that's my update. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tori. Thank you very much for that very brief and information-packed report. Okay, I have Edward Cerna, the Brooklyn Borough Director of the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs. Next on my list, I don't see you, Edward. Are you here? Let me see. I don't see you. We'll circle back. I have Kay Wynn from Assemblywoman Matilde Francis's office. Kay?
Hi, I'm Kay. I'm the Legislative and Communications Director for the Assembly member. I'm working out of the Bay Ridge office, and as we keep reopening, I implore you all to come visit, say hi, voice your concerns, happy to listen and assist in any way we can. I'm excited to announce our first round of capital funding that will support community groups. That includes grants for Bay Ridge Cares and new mobile teacher stations and labs at IS 259. Stay tuned for more announcements, and if your nonprofit group needs any support, send them our way. I'll drop my email in the chat as well. That's all I've got for today, and thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you very much. And I see we have Councilman Justin Brannan with us today. Hi.
I only have about like 1 hour of stuff to talk about. Is that okay?
Sure. See, I'm gonna push over. Just go ahead.
How's everybody doing? Good to see everybody. It's May. As Tori from Senator Granardis's office mentioned, today we had a big announcement that we're bringing back the Summer Streets events for 3rd Avenue and 5th Avenue. And it's going to be great. We're very excited. Things are moving very quickly now as far as guidance. Sort of things move just as quickly as we were shutting down, and now things are moving just as quickly as we're opening up. So we're doing our best to be flexible and to get stuff done as quickly as possible. All this stuff takes a lot of planning. So just because the city tells us we can now do something on a Saturday doesn't mean that we can plan it on Friday night. So we're doing the best we can to plan in advance. And we had a great announcement today that the summer strolls and the open streets events on 3rd and 5th are going to be coming back. And there'll be more details on that very soon. The other thing I want to mention is Bay Ridge Cares is doing a community vigil to honor local victims of COVID. That's going to be next month on June 12th at 79th Street Shore Road Park. I'll also have more information on that, but basically, if there's someone that you want honored, we're going to be reading names at the event. If there's someone that you want honored, please reach out to my office with a name so we can add it to the folks that we're going to remember and honor that day at this very important memorial and vigil next month. So that's all I have for now. It's good to see everybody. Hopefully sooner than later we'll be back in person. I hope everyone is feeling well, getting vaccinated, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
I have a question.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, go ahead,
You're right.
Doris.
You're right. I have been dealing with a lot of text amendments, and that's okay. But one thing that we got an email about was at long last changes to the real estate tax code.
Okay.
This is very complex. It requires a lot of input, and there needs to be huge community outreach. There needs to be online town halls. I don't know what the timeline is on the but there needs to be huge online town halls and possibly in-person town halls so that every residential property owner understands what is happening.
Okay. Let's talk about it offline. I'm happy to set something up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lori.
Thank you, Councilman. And now I see some of our speakers aren't signed on yet. So I'm going to move on. Hanan Jat from Assemblyman Michael Tsanusis's office, I see is with us. Would you like to speak? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yes. Yeah. Hi, everyone. We have also Vigil from our office, who's our Brooklyn rep. Happy to see everyone. Happy to be here. I missed last month's
giving my phone. It's downstairs.
The Assemblyman's number is 718-439-8090. We're happy to help. It's outside, so that's to be announced in the coming month. And happy Military Appreciation Month. It's May. So, always proud of our veterans. Remember the ultimate sacrifice. And yeah, just give us a call.
Thank you very much. And next we have Nancy Lulu from Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez's office.
Thank you, Lori. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. I would like to extend greetings on behalf of DA Gonzalez to everyone. Just a couple of announcements. Due to the surge of gun violence we have been witnessing in our Brooklyn neighborhoods and citywide, the Brooklyn DA's office, along with the NYPD, are teaming up again with the New York State Attorney General's office and hosting another gun buyback with no questions asked. It would be held on Saturday, May 22nd at the Howard Housing Cornerstone, Camba, located at 90 Watson Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11212 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Receive an iPad along with a prepaid gift card for operable handguns and operable assault rifles. For more information, please reach out to me or to the board, as the board does have the flyer. Also on May 10th, 2021, District Attorney Eric Gonzalez announced that a Sunset Park attorney has been sentenced up to 3 years in prison for stealing approximately $280,000 in down payments he received to hold in escrow from 2 clients he represented in a sale of their homes. Let this serve as a reminder that DA Gonzalez is committed to protecting Brooklyn residents from attorneys and other fraudsters who abuse their positions of authority to take advantage of those that are entrusted to advise and represent. As a quick reminder, the Brooklyn DA's office is also offering a virtual 4-week internship to high school students during the summer from July 6th to July 30th. Selected students will receive a weekly stipend of $150. For more information, visit brooklynda.org/internship, or you could email Felicia Harris at harrisfbrooklynda.org. Application deadline ends May 25th, 2021. I would like to wish our Muslim friends and neighbors a happy and blessed Eid al-Fitr. I know it passed 2 days ago, but I would like to acknowledge that. I also would like to acknowledge Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. And finally, I would like to conclude by reminding everyone with the Action Center's phone number. If there's an issue, a matter you would like to address with our office, please call 718-250-2340. And if I could be of any assistance, you could reach me at lulu@brooklynda.org. Thank you so much, Community Board 10.
Thank you very much. And now we have Frank Fontana from the New York City Department of Buildings.
Hello?
Hi, we have.
Hi, you hear me?
Yes.
All right, how are you? Sorry, I'm just having some issues with connection today. I just want to do one quick update in regards to local law 152. As you all know, we've been mentioning on previous meetings, local law 152 in regards to gas inspections for those properties that are above 2 families. So we sent the mail out to homeowners. We're in Community Board 10 has until June 30th for those property owners to file a gas inspection report with the Department of Buildings. You can go to our website, newyorkcity.gov/buildings, to look at the classification of your building. If it's a 1 or 2 family, if it's a walk-up or anything that's more, if you have any questions. And you have until June 30th. So, and then also on our website, you can always look for job updates in the DOB newsletter. We've been sending out updates as well in the newsletter. So it's a good idea to sign up if you have a chance. Get those regular updates from us. And that's it. I'll be on the call if any other questions come up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we have Morris Denmark from the Fort Hamilton Public Library.
Thank you for having me and giving me this time. I just like to remind everyone that the Fort Hamilton Library is now open. You can come in and browse for books. We have computers that are available to the public to use. And we are open Monday through Saturday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, we are open from 10 to 4. Tuesday, Thursday, we are open from 1 o'clock to 7. So we are open. Come back to the library. And this Friday, we are having a family fun Friday at the Diker Beach Park. It starts at 10 in the morning and it will run until, say, 1:30, 2 o'clock. We will have story times for the kids, activities and games. And the bookmobile will be there. If you want to get a library card, you can do that. You can also check out books from the bookmobile. And we will also be having what we call Our Streets, Our Stories. You can record your Brooklyn memories for our oral history project. And we also have some grab and go kits, bags for the children. That is Friday and beginning at 10 o'clock with a story time. And that's what I have. We also have our Juneteenth celebration on June 24 will begin at 2 o'clock on our Facebook page, the Fort Hamilton Library Facebook page. And you can also tune in through the Brooklyn Public Library page as well. And the celebration will run from 2 p.m. to 2:45 p.m. That's June 24. Thank you for your time. Have a
Thank
good
you very
evening.
much.
Thank you.
And now we have Robert Sabah, who has signed up to speak, a member of the community.
Hi, can you,
We can hear you. Go ahead.
okay, I didn't know if my camera was supposed to be on too, but
If it's not working out, you can speak. We can hear you.
okay. I thank you all for allowing me to speak tonight. I wanted to attend to address, the tragic events that happened in front of our dealership. No matter what I say, the bottom line is a woman lost her life. We're reminded of that every day when we do walk into our showroom, and we think of her every day. I promise you we do. Our company takes what happened very, very seriously. My family takes what happened very seriously. We've lived in this community for 3 generations. My children, both 9 and 11, my nieces, all teenagers, walk those same streets and sidewalks. I do my best to keep the sidewalks and the streets as safe as possible, as safe as I'd want it for my family. That I give you my word. I just wanted to take a second to review the events of what happened so we're all dealing with the same facts. I know there's been a lot said. We employ a third-party valet service. We briefly had a car parked on the sidewalk, shut off, not running, next to our exit and entrance, right next to the door. The purpose of having this car there was because we were pulling it away to swap it to another dealer because they needed the car. 2 people were standing in front, according to the police report, 2 people were standing directly in front of the car talking to the victim. When the 2 people moved away, the victim tragically bent over, possibly to tie her shoe. The valet never saw her, put the car in gear, and drove away. She was directly in front of the car. I just wanted to let you know we've implemented many safety and training measures. I've put on extra valets. When a car is being pulled out of our lot, 1 person must act as the monitor and guide the driver, as well as look out for pedestrians. I've rented a 50-car lot, so we no longer have customers waiting unnecessary times for our valet to move the car. I don't want any traffic in front of the car, in front of the dealerships. I would like to get everything cleared as soon as possible and put the cars in safe locations. Our 150 employees have been told that parking a car illegally, assisting anyone in parking a car illegally, will lead to immediate termination. There is 0 tolerance for that. What happened is terrible. You don't want cars on the sidewalk, and I promise you, I don't want cars on the sidewalk. Your interest is public safety for our community, and that is mine and my family's interest as well. I thank you for allowing me the few words tonight. I welcome any comments or concerns because I'd like to play a part in making our community safer. So any way that myself or my company can help, I am willing to. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sabah.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes,
Quick. Where is your 50-car lot?
it is in the, we rented one on 88th Street, which is directly behind our dealership, and we rent standing spots in Century 21 parking lot now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. And now we have Alexi Lewis, a resident, speaking about motorized vehicles on pedestrian and bike lanes on the Shore Road Promenade. Alexi, do we have you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to call your attention tonight to a safety issue. And my concern is this: there's been a recent, I would call, explosion of motorized vehicle use on the Shore Road Promenade. That is that section, I'm sure everybody's familiar with it, that's in between the Bell Parkway and the water. So, you know, I've been riding my bicycle out there for probably the last 50 years or so. And the last time I rode my bicycle there, which was about maybe 2 weeks ago, I had my breath taken away because somebody on an electric bike passed me going probably faster than the cars on the highway. And it was such a shocking and you know, dramatic experience that I haven't ridden my bike out there since. In the last year, I would say in the last few months, since the weather has warmed up, I have seen every single kind of motorized vehicle that is on the road, from motorcycles to mopeds to electric bikes to electric scooters, everything. And the use of these vehicles is not limited to just the bike lane. I've seen them also on the pedestrian walkways. So it's pretty much wild out there. There's another kind of related issue is there's no longer a clear distinction for people out there between the bike, what is supposed to be the bike lane, and the pedestrian walkway. There are very frequent bicycle riders on the pedestrian walkway, so that's become commonplace. There's no signage so that one would not know where the pedestrians were supposed to walk and where the bicycles were supposed to be. And kind of related to that, and I hope I can bring this up, there's also been a dramatic increase in bicycles riding on the sidewalk on Shore Road. I happen to live right on Shore Road, so I encounter this every single day. So I feel that, in short, walking on the sidewalk or going down on the Shore Road Promenade now is a hazardous situation, and I'm sure it's just a matter of time before someone's going to get really seriously hurt out there.
Thank you.
Can I just say something? Steve Harrison.
Steve?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to Alexi because she's 100% correct. And when I've been down there recently, I've been shocked to see the number of motorized vehicles that are down there. And I think it is only a matter of time until somebody dies. And when the prior gentleman was talking about something on the sidewalk, and now we have these motorized vehicles down there, absolutely going speeds that bikes could not attain. It is unbelievable. So I want to say thank you to her, and I think it's something the community board has to address because it's kind of, well, it's unique basically to Bay Ridge and to Dyker Heights.
Well, we have, I mean, this has come up a number of times. And I completely agree. You know, in front of my house, just, you know, stepping onto the sidewalk from my front door, I've, you know, almost been plowed down by a motorized bicycle, you know, while grabbing my keys. So it's definitely an issue. We've talked about this for quite some time. There needs to be enforcement. Josephine, I mean, we've reached out, we've had this as a matter of, on our transportation committee some time ago, and I agree, and it's only gotten worse. And I just don't see that there are clear rules being enforced. They're not categorizing these motorized bicycles one way or the other, either as a vehicle to obey vehicle traffic laws, as a car should, or as you know, bicycles now are permitted to follow either vehicle or pedestrian signs, which I think adds to the problem, because if we're not categorizing these motorized bicycles as a vehicle, there's even more potential for them to plow someone down. Joe, do you want to comment on this? Because I know this has been.
Yeah, so I think that there's not a day in the last few weeks that have gone by where someone has not either called or stopped into the office. Lot of seniors and also cyclists, particularly about the Shore Road Promenade, have reached out to us about the motorized scooters, motorized anything that's going on the Shore Road Promenade. We actually did a letter to the commissioner of the Parks Department, you know, of what Lexi had mentioned and what other cyclists are mentioning to us about very close encounters and one taking a spill on the Shore Road Promenade from a motorized bike. So I do think this is an issue. I know the mayor a few days ago said he was open to the idea now of licensing. The Parks Commissioner got back to us saying that, you know, enforcement is very challenging and difficult, but suggested that perhaps we meet with the Parks manager specific to the Shore Road Promenade to make some improvements there. I definitely think it's something that the committee and the board needs to be strong on. So we should probably talk about best ways to move forward.
Okay, thank you, Josephine. Okay, so let me see, I don't see any hands up. Okay, so this concludes our public session, and I would like to move on to the chair's report. So good evening and welcome to Community Board 10's May 17th, 2021 General Board Meeting via Zoom with live stream to the public. The weather's warmer and the city is opening up more and more as we head into summer. This summer will look much different than last and a bit different from years before. As I mentioned in last month's report, the city has plans for a number of zoning text amendments. There are 5 zoning text amendments proposed, which the city hopes to implement in a relatively short order. The 5 amendments are the Zoning for Accessibility Amendment, which aims to increase elevator access to transit, the Health and Fitness Amendment, which aims to eliminate the special permit now, which is currently needed for gyms, spas, and massage parlors, the Open Restaurant Amendment, which aims to make the street and sidewalk dining implemented during the COVID emergency permanent and to eliminate permits for sidewalk cafes, the Hotel Text Amendment, which aims to install a special permit to remove the building of hotels as of right in M1 light manufacturing districts, which often border residential neighborhoods. In addition, a city council bill has been proposed for a comprehensive long-term zoning planning bill, which among other things makes changes to the initial zoning policy process and installs mechanisms to see that the policies are being implemented throughout the boroughs. Also, the Department of Transportation is moving ahead with a project that will impact an approximately 30-block section of 7th and 8th Avenues from 39th Street to 66th Street. All of this is being done, as I said, in a relatively short order. And as we review these matters, you will see that the great number of issues that are posed, there are a great number of issues that are posed across a great many areas of concern. For example, the impact on quality of life, traffic, safety, residents, and other local businesses, issues of enforcement, and the board's notice and opportunity to be heard on these matters, to name a few. I've attended meetings on each of these matters, and each proposed change has its own set of considerations and concerns with regard to its impact on our district. In some areas, there have been startling few answers to the great number of legitimate questions and issues that have been raised and require redress before these changes are made permanent. In some instances, community boards are not being given the same quality of input and consideration in the process while we're being told that we are. And I find this to be very concerning. Despite our requests, the changes are being rapidly ushered through, and just as our summer hiatus will start. This leaves us with much work to do in a very short period of time. Our Zoning and Land Use Committee and our Traffic and Transportation Committee have been and will continue to be taxed with a great deal of work. Because just a note under the proposed open restaurant zoning text amendment, the DOT is the agency tasked with the bulk of the responsibility. So that brings in our Traffic and Transportation Committee into the process heavily. So I am making a special request to each of our board members to please review the materials that the district office has sent out and will send out with regard to the proposed amendments, so that you can try to bring yourselves up to speed to make our meetings as productive as possible, because it's a lot of information to digest. We need to do our best to make our voice heard by the city before these changes are enacted. I and representatives of other community boards have seen a recent trend, and more so, I believe, since the onset of the COVID crisis, of a decrease in the regard given to the voice of individual communities in the decision-making being made by the city. I've heard too often from the decision makers and their advisors that they feel that community boards are standing in their way. Their way should be our way. We are the people. We've been down this road before. In my very first chair's report, I mentioned how in 1963, in response to the centrist city government structure, community boards were established to address the increasing feeling that people's lives were being controlled by a large faceless bureaucracy controlling the vast city, and the need for the city government to understand the different places in the city and to implement a neighborhood governance concept. I've kept this in mind throughout my term as chair, and I ask each of you to keep it in mind as well. One of the many treasures of our city is the character and uniqueness of its various geographic pockets. Each unique area has its own legitimate considerations that must be taken into account when these broad sweeping laws are enacted. Brooklyn is the most populous borough in the city, and its neighborhoods vary vastly in geography, density, use, and character. Changes that work in Manhattan may very well not work here. Let's make sure we protect and exercise our right to be heard and considered in the decision making. When we do, the city is better for everyone. It's no secret that COVID put our city into a tailspin on so many levels. It's no surprise that under the pressure of the crisis, many of the existing flaws in the city's fabric were rent. The damages provide an opportunity for many areas of change and improvement. We have an obligation to make sure that we do our best to get it right. A remedy for one problem that only creates other problems is not a remedy. True solutions to the problems sought to be rectified by the changes I've mentioned can only be achieved with the advice of the people in our communities. Thank you for attending this meeting, and I hope that you remain safe and well. Next, we have the district manager's report. Joe?
Thank you, Lori. Good evening, board members. So in addition to the zoning text amendments that Chair Willis referred to, the New York City Department of Transportation is also moving forward very quickly with several initiatives that will very well impact us here locally in community
Josephine,
district.
can I interrupt you for 1 second, please?
Yes.
Can you call Barbara Germack? I mean,
what?
Barbara Germack. I mean, her eyes have been, she's awake now.
Okay, Barbara, okay, we'll let Joe go on. We'll reach out.
Okay, thanks. So I wanted to share that I did attend the Brooklyn Borough Service Cabinet meeting this month, where a presentation was made by the New York City Department of Transportation on both the neighborhood loading zone program and the master plan outreach process. So this is moving along very quickly, and DOT wanted to alert us to this as they are seeking to expand the neighborhood loading zone program into new neighborhoods citywide. And these really impact deliveries and for hire traffic growing on residential streets with the rise in e-commerce orders. And it's leading to congestion issues citywide. The goal of neighborhood loading zones was explained is to reduce double parking. There are currently 111 loading zones citywide, and DOT is now moving into phase 3 set for spring of 2021. So we have calendared this for the June Traffic and Transportation Committee, And I will be sharing the informational deck with board members and information about the public portal, which is set to go live, I believe sometime this week, which is why I wanted to just highlight it. In addition, DOT mentioned that they're working on a streets master plan following adoption of Local Law 195, which requires DOT to issue its plan by December of 2021. So we're also going to be focusing on what this master plan means for us here in District 10. As Lori mentioned, the Open Streets, Open Restaurants program was adopted by the City Council, and we are awaiting updates and a presentation as to what this also means to us day to day. The most common questions we're asked pertains to the hours of operation for the Open Restaurants program, which may or may not be similar to sidewalk cafes, so stay tuned. The Department of Transportation also released this month its Delivering New York, a smart truck management plan for New York City, which is a report that focuses on the ever-growing demands of commercial and consumer freight. It's a very comprehensive report, one which will be the subject of review in upcoming months, and I'm going to be sharing that link to board members as well. So our next Traffic and Transportation Committee meeting is going to take place on June 10th. So if you're interested, please feel free to join, or you can always view later on the YouTube channel. And we are going to have a second TNT meeting because of all these topics going on, including the 7th and 8th Avenue SIP, which is scheduled for June 23rd. I've also been hearing from many board members asking about when community boards will resume in-person meetings, or if there'll be any changes to the open meetings law to adapt some type of hybrid meeting format. The governor recently extended the suspension of in-person meeting requirements of the open meetings law through June 9th of 2021. This was also raised at the Borough Service Cabinet meeting, and we fully expect to continue to meet remotely at least through June of 2021, and I hope to have some updates for you next month. The district office is hearing from residents asking what events will be permitted in the upcoming months. As Councilman Brandon and Tori from Senator Granardis' office mentioned, I was happy to join the 3rd Avenue Merchants and the 5th Avenue Bid, and they are moving forward with Summer Stroll and Fun on 5th. We will be posting that to our calendar and emailing that out. We're also beginning to hear from many block party organizers, and block parties are currently being reviewed by the city with COVID restrictions. So that information is also available on our website. And the Memorial Day Parade is not going to happen traditionally, however, because of timing, and as Councilman said, things are changing very quickly, is going to be replaced with a motorcade and wreath laying ceremony, which we will also be sharing with board members. The district office today received notification by certified mail that a 2-family framed house at 1061 66th Street is scheduled to be demolished. We will be emailing that. It's a large 40 by 100 lot, and neighbors actually on the block had already called, noticed some activity there, so I wanted to share that with board members. And the 68th Precinct Community Council asked me to share that they will be meeting this Wednesday, May 19th, 7 p.m. via Zoom. The registration link was sent in our newsletter last Friday, so if you're interested in attending, please check that out. And for anyone here joining the call, if you're not on our email blast list and would like to be, please do email our office at the district office at bk10@cb.nyc.gov, or you can check out our website and there's a link where you could sign on directly. Our next community board meeting will take place on Monday, June 21st, 7 p.m. right here on Zoom. Thank you very much. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Josephine. And now we have the treasurer's report with Shirley Chin.
Thank you, Laurie. Good evening, everyone. So here's the treasurer's report as of April 30th, 2021. Total personal services, we have $194,743.35. Total other than personal services, we got $10,475.89, leaving an encumbered budget balance of $39,947.36. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Okay, and now we move on to the committee reports with the Traffic and Transportation Committee report with Jane Marie Kapitanakis. Okay, thank you, Lori. The membership of the Traffic and Transportation Committee met in quorum. Oops, 1 second. Via Zoom on Wednesday, April 28th at 7 p.m. DOT Liaison Leroy Branch presented a safety improvement proposal for peak hours lane removal on Fort Hamilton Parkway between 76th and 78th Streets. Please note the proposed lane removal is during the peak hours of 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. At the live meeting, this was mistakenly referred to for AM and PM hours. However, the committee wishes to clarify that this is limited from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. to ease the flow of traffic heading toward the Verrazano Bridge during rush hour. Thank you. Once again, this proposal is to remedy that backup of traffic and horn honking as cars are turning from 76th Street onto Fort Hamilton Parkway. This is particularly troubling to residents during those peak hours when many commuters are heading toward the Verrazano Bridge by driving along Fort Hamilton Parkway and the intersection gets jammed. To allow more cars to make the turn, the DOT will remove the parking lane on the side of the park along Fort Hamilton Parkway from 76th Street to approximately 78th Street. There is a bus stop on the park side between 77th and 78th Street, so the lane removal would extend up to the bus stop. With more cars able to turn, the expected outcome would be less blocking of the intersection, a smoother traffic flow, and relief for residents. The DOT is hoping to implement this as soon as possible. During non-rush hour, the lane goes back to being a parking lane. So the parking spots are removed only from 3 to 7 p.m. DOT has promised to monitor the situation and revisit this item. The committee met in quorum and all were in favor of the motion in support of the DOT's plan to implement a peak hour traffic lane on the west side, again, that is the park side of Fort Hamilton Parkway from 76th to 78th Streets between the hours of 3 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. And now, do we have any questions or discussion? Josephine, if you see any, please.
Yep, I don't see.
No, I don't see
Oh,
any.
Doris has her hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Go ahead, Doris.
Doris, you're on mute.
This is one of the few times that the DOT said, we want to make this change, but if it doesn't work, we'll revisit it. It's a very unusual position by the DOT, so I think we're in a good position here.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands. Do you?
No. Nope.
No. Okay. So then we can call the question.
Okay, so I'm gonna put the poll up.
Guys, I think Larry has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank
Larry?
you, Larry.
The 3 o'clock, that's close to the school when school it's at.
Yes.
That's why they wanted to
That's
start
why they
it
wanted
at
to.
3 o'clock, because they anticipate that that's when the traffic begins.
And that's also when the school lets out too. You're gonna have a conflict there. We're gonna have all the school letting out, crossing Fort Hamilton Parkway, and then they're gonna be running into more traffic, lanes of traffic going toward, heading south.
Well, that's the reason to enable a second flow of traffic, a second lane of traffic to open up, so that traffic runs more smoothly in both directions.
We'll have the school crossing guards. They'll be apprised of this whole situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan?
Yeah, do we know if they updated the average daily traffic estimates for Fort Hamilton Parkway at that location? Just normally they conduct like a yearly census to estimate what the traffic load is. I'm wondering if it's gone up and that might be triggering this for them. Just generalized question about
Yeah,
how they're
so
collecting the data.
so I don't have the hard data, Dan, but I can tell you that we received this request directly from residents on 76th Street. So by way of background, the left turn on Bay Ridge Parkway was removed back in, I believe it was 2014. After there were 2 pedestrian fatalities at Bay Ridge Parkway and Fort Hamilton Parkway. So that increased the left-hand turn movement at 76th Street and Fort Hamilton Parkway. So they did mention in the report that traffic volume has increased at that turning, and that's why we get that that blocked intersection there, which makes it difficult to cross and for cars to move. And if you saw in the photo that I had up, you could see at a green light heading northbound, it's often difficult to proceed.
Great. I just wanted to make sure that the DOT had done the study and counted the traffic.
Yes,
Great.
they did. And we actually had there was an on-site meeting with the councilman there as well.
Excellent. All right.
Okay, very good. So I do not see any other questions or comments. So I think now we will call the question.
Okay, I'm gonna launch the poll.
In favor.
Okay, Joe, we got you. Thank
Thank
you.
Laurie, at the conclusion of the report, I want to make some comments on the TNT, please.
Okay.
Okay. So
On this topic?
No, but on the
okay.
TNT.
Okay.
Okay, so I think everyone's voted. We have 33 in favor with 1 opposed and 1 abstention. Right, I counted Joe.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and next we have a street renaming request for Ralph Sciano's Corner at the southwest corner of 92nd Street and 3rd Avenue. As per Community Board 10 street renaming guidelines, this is a 2-part process and takes place over 2 monthly meetings. Applicants submit their application and supporting documentation to the Traffic and Transportation Committee, and the information is shared at the general board meeting for informational purposes in the first step of this process. The following month, this item will come up for vote by committee. If the application meets committee approval and recommendation, a proposal will be made for a full board vote at our next meeting, which will be in June. In this application, we learned about Ralph Sciano, a beloved businessman and family man. The Sciano family opened the Marine Market in 1938, and the store operated for 61 years on the corner of 92nd and 3rd Avenue, which is now home to a Starbucks. The Marine Market was described as an original gourmet market known for top quality produce, specialty items, and outstanding customer service. Mr. Sciano's son, Rocky, described his father as a man who always wanted to do good and had a strong work ethic, pride in his business, devotion to his customers, and love of his community. Having grown up in the Depression, Ralph Sciano was compassionate to the role he could play as a grocer in helping to feed the hungry. This was evidenced by his donations of food to local neighborhood organizations, the FDNY, Sisters of Visitation, and even making sure that his son delivered groceries during a blizzard. As one of the many testimonials stated, making sure that no one was hungry and that people were fed were what Mr. Sciano was known for. One story Rocky told described how his father handled a shoplifter by actually giving the person the groceries, because as he told his son, you don't know what people are going through or how bad things must be. While the store motto was Marine Market, home of pampered produce, Ralph's widow, Mrs. Eleanor Sciano, added that it was also the home of pampered customers, because customer service and customer appreciation were a central part of Mr. Sciano's successful small business. Mr. Sciano was also a founding member of the Upper 3rd Avenue Merchants Association and fondly described as a local mayor. As the family and written testimonials described, Mr. Sciano spent his life in service to the community and they request to honor and recognize his contribution with this street naming. Once again, this report was informational only, and our meeting was adjourned at 7:45. Respectfully submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean Marie. Okay, and now, Joe, you wanted to say something?
No, Dean.
I'm sorry,
wanted to say-
Dean.
Dean, yes.
Dean.
No, at the end of the report, it has nothing to do with the current report. Oh, can I comment now?
Well, should we do new business? Is it new I don't know, Dean, you know the rules. Where should it go? New business?
What I want to comment on is the death on the property of the auto dealership. And we have a lot of new board members. Maybe not everybody's aware of this. For the 20 years that I'm on the board, we have consistently, over 2 decades, in writing, verbally, complained, pleaded for help from the police department, from our elected officials, from everybody and anybody. And I'm saddened to say I have not seen from current or past elected officials one iota of improvement at that location. I'm not saying we could have prevented the death, but I have not seen over 20 years the elected officials making a concerted effort to correct that. And that is a shame. It's terrible. And again, this board for 20 years has been complaining about it. And I'm sure Josephine could pull up every letter that we sent and every phone call that we've made. So this is a gross failure. That's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Dean. And now we will move on to the Parks Committee report with Diane Gennardis.
Marty Lentz is here.
Marty,
She's going to be delivering the reports. Yes.
Okay, Marty, you're on.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I am happy to deliver the Parks Committee report. The Parks Committee met on May 13th, 2021 at 7 p.m. There was unfortunately not a quorum. The sole item on our agenda was the Parks Department's plans for the Owl's Head basketball court. Mr. Michael Madden of the Parks Department presented the project, which is to renovate and repave the basketball courts, as well as the adult exercise area. Mr. Madden's presentation was detailed and thoughtful and well received by Parks Committee members in attendance, with some notable discussion from a community member. The details of the presentation are as follows. The project area is 3/4 of an acre in size. Owl's Head is a legacy park with a historic value. In the choice of materials and colors, the Parks Department put a priority on keeping the feeling and character of the materials and colors consistent with other areas of Owl's Head Park. Notably, to that end, I'm happy to announce that the owl statue will be moved to the playground. Good job, Community Board 10. Mr. Madden and the Parks Department plan includes a 3-foot fence with a gated entry made of chain link. There will be 12-foot high fencing behind each basketball hoop to keep basketballs inside. More on the fencing issue later during the community comment section. The design plan includes 2 rain gardens to aid in the collection and drainage of stormwater. Erosion control will be accomplished via native plantings, which will be installed to prevent erosion. Notably, the native plantings will be non-fruit-bearing species, so the basketball courts will not be messy. The workout area and bench seating area will have a semicircular shaped border, which is to allow for more usable space, and all of the workout equipment will be updated, which it definitely needs to be done. The benches in between the basketball courts will be both backless and backed versions using the World Fair design, which is seen in other areas of Owl's Head Park. And the expected project completion date is January of 2024. So during the public Q&A, a resident attended the meeting and offered feedback. He felt that the 3-foot fence, which is seen on some areas around the basketball court, would be inadequate. He felt that Basketballs would be constantly going out of bounds and going over the fence in the corners. He also expressed he did not feel that fencing was needed on the Colonial Road side near the downslope. This resident said he played basketball at Owl's Head for his whole life, year round, plays with his children, and he seemed to offer real expertise on the matter at hand about the basketballs going out of bounds. He also expressed that the lighting in the plan presented by Parks would be inadequate. Their plan is to use the 2 existing light poles. According to this resident, one of the light poles is totally obscured by trees, and the other light is simply not bright enough. And basketball is often played into the late evening hours, even into the early morning. This resident would also like to see a second water fountain added if possible. The resident additionally raised the issue of trees dropping leaves onto the court, which make it slippery and dangerous for players. He asked instead if pine trees could be planted instead of the trees with leaves. Parks Representative Michael Madden mentioned that the trees will be pruned back considerably, and the slipping hazard will be mitigated with the installation of the new court surface. Pine trees, according to Mr. Madden, would not be appropriate because they lose all of their needles every 3 years, which causes a mess of a different kind. The resident suggested removing the trees then from inside of the gated area. However, the Parks Representative Chris Surratt added that the healthy trees are not removed whenever possible, and that the mature trees are worth preserving because they offer shade, which is also important to basketball players and park goers. So despite the seemingly valid issue regarding the fencing raised by the resident, the project was overall well received. This issue of fencing has come up in other Parks Committee meetings in the context of playground design. My experience is that the Parks Department seems to be trending towards an open playground design model with minimal fencing. And Parks Committee members such as myself, who have small children, are leery about reducing the amount of fencing as we feel it keeps our children fenced in and therefore safe. Similarly here, while 3-foot fencing may be aesthetically pleasing, it may well serve the functional and safety purpose of keeping basketballs contained on the court. After the committee meeting, the following was submitted to Community Board 10 for consideration. A parent from the Parks meeting last month, when the Parks Department presented the design for the playground, had mentioned to close off both entrances between the sprinkler park and the basketball courts because the basketball players often cut through the sprinkler part to get to the courts. And when the sprinklers are on and there's kids running around, the basketball players are not considerate to the smaller kids, and there are plenty of collisions. Small kids run around in erratic and unpredictable ways, especially when the sprinklers are on. I found that parent's point to be very valid. Present on the Zoom meeting was Parks Committee, myself, Marty Lentz, acting chair, Chris Ellison, Robert Olivia, Parks Department representatives, Mr. Michael Madden, Mr. Chris Surratt, and Ms. Rachel Kramer. Elected official representatives, Sophia Mahiles from Senator Garnardis's office.
I don't know that one.
Oh my God, my Alexa just spoke up, excuse me. Basil Kapatinakis from Assembly Member Michael Tanusis' office, and representative of Community Board 10, Dorothy Gurcho. Respectfully submitted, Marty Lentz, Parks Committee Acting Chair. Question?
Thank you, Marty. I see that Ann Flutico has her hand raised. Ann?
Marty, although I see the value of encouraging the sport on summer evenings, let's say till 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night, I do question setting this basketball court up lighting wise for basketball through the night and into the early morning. I think it's too much basketball.
Sure. I'm not a basketball expert by any means, but from what the resident was saying, it did sound like basketball will be played whether there's lighting or not. And so to me, it seems like what's the best way to promote safety given the desire to play basketball into the late hours? Does that mean cutting off the lights, or does that mean having lights into the night?
Well, I think when there's something that we perhaps may not want to encourage, taking measures not to encourage it would be my thought.
Okay. Stephen Harris, I see Stephen, you have your hand up.
Yeah, first of all, I want to agree with Ann on this. It's, I like basketball a lot. Most people like basketball a lot, but when someone is playing basketball near your house and the bounce goes all night long, because that's what it does. I think that's a little bit of a problem. The other things from a safety point of view, the 3-foot fence does disturb me. Basketball players tend not to be short. And when they go reaching for a ball that's just about to go over the fence, I anticipate that you will have somebody that will probably stumble over the fence and you'll have an issue. And I think that they should at least have a 5-foot fence or higher or more.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Joe, I just have a question on follow-up on Steve's point. Are there noise complaints that come from the existing location of the basketball court and vis-a-vis residents?
No, not at Owl's Head. As the committee was discussing this, I'm thinking now out loud to myself, if there's not a timer on those lights, there may be a timer on those lights. I'll see if I could find that out for you. But no, there are no complaints currently.
That's because there's no lights.
There's no lights.
And when there are lights, there will be complaints.
There's 2 lights. There's currently 2 lights.
There are 2, yeah.
But I'm not sure. In some of our parks, there are timers on those lights with park opening that reflect opening and closing times. I do know that. At Leif Erikson, that's the case. I'm not sure if that's the case here, but I will find out.
Yeah, I thought Marty had mentioned that the resident said that he played basketball very late. So
okay.
I was just curious about that noise complaint point. I see Dan Heddix has his hand raised. Dan?
Yeah, I'm totally fine with the lights. I think that, in the winter, people still play basketball. You see it all the time. And at that time, like, sunset is like 4:49, I think, on the solstice. So, like, they should have lights while they're playing, especially in the winter and overcast days, etc. Especially considering that there are going to be that number of trees and there's going to be shade. I feel like it makes sense if you're gonna have a lot of people. People are going to be using that thing all day. Having light makes them safe. I'd rather have lights than have people get injured on the court. So.
Okay, thanks, Dan. I see Doris, you have your hand raised.
I want to support Steve's comment about the height of the fence. I think 3 feet is way too low and 5 feet is very reasonable. And in response to Dan's comment about the trees, if they're deciduous trees, there will be no leaves in December when they're playing basketball.
Yeah, but for the rest of the night as well, I'd imagine.
Well, from November through, I think that's.
They said there's 2. Right.
Okay. Okay, and Dean, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I just want to support the idea of a higher fence there, because not only will the players reach over, they'll be vaulting over a 3-foot fence like crazy. People are going to get hurt. It doesn't make sense. We should have I would say even a 6 or a 7-foot fence, but definitely higher. And I also support having lights there. Currently, they play into the night with limited lighting. The youth need someplace to be. Why not have someplace where they can do something productive? And, we're not complaining about them hanging out on the street corner or getting into other problems. So I think it's great to put the lighting there. I support it 100%.
Okay, thank you, Dean. I see, I don't know if your hands are re-raised, or if you didn't take it down before. So Ann, go ahead. You're next.
I think that we need a balance between what the basketball players need and what the community nearby neighbors need, and that to play at 5:45 or 4:45 in the winter is great. To be playing at 2 in the morning is too much.
Okay, I do not see any other hands raised. So I think that concludes our discussion. So then we can call the question for the vote.
Motion.
I think that there was the committee's recommendation. Oh, well, you know what, Marty? Actually, can you restate what the committee's recommendation was so that we
Did
know?
they meet in quorum?
No.
We did not meet in quorum. So the committee's recommendation was to approve the plan presented by the Owl's Head to the Owl's Head basketball court renovation rejuvenation.
Okay, and so that is, just for everyone's clarification, if you're not speaking, please put yourself on mute. So just for clarification, that includes the 3-foot fence and the lights, yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I just want everyone to be clear, if you're voting in favor, then you're voting in favor of those aspects as well. Okay, we have enough. Anne, is your hand up again? Okay, go ahead.
So I have a friendly amendment that there be at least 6 hours of darkness to the court.
I support the amendment.
Doris supports the amendment. I'm not sure if this is friendly, given the amount of back and forth is my concern. Marty, you're a parliamentarian. What say you? Put yourself on mute, please, if you're not speaking. Go ahead.
Right, no, I'm not sure it's friendly either.
Okay, so I think what we would do then is we will have a vote on the committee's recommended approval. If that is voted down, and someone else wants to do something, if it does not carry, then we can entertain another motion from the floor, which may or may not include the fence and the lights.
Point of order. Point of order. Why don't
Go
we
ahead,
just have?
Steve.
Why don't we just? Someone can make a motion first. You don't vote on that first. All right. Someone can make a motion to amend the motion. So I would make it. All right, and then you vote on that first. The amendment.
Can I make the motion to make the friendly amendment to install a 6-foot fence and to cut the lighting off at night? Can we make that friendly amendment?
Okay, so that would be, as Steve's saying, we'll be doing a motion to amend.
Yes.
Your suggested motion is to make the 6-foot fence, and what you're saying to adopt Anne's suggestion of 6 hours of darkness?
The lights have to be dimmed.
Okay, so we would need a second for that, if that's something that.
I second.
I'm sorry. Steve? Okay.
Steve, I'm seconding that.
Okay, thank you, Steve. So now the motion to amend is on the floor. So that would be to, if you're not speaking, please mute yourself. Thank you. So that would be to approve the committee's motion with the amendment that the basketball court would have a
6-foot fence.
And there would be 6 hours of darkness, but otherwise, just to make it clear to everyone what we're approving or disapproving here, the committee's recommendation was to approve everything. So what we're saying now is we would like to change that and have a 6-foot fence and 6 hours of darkness on the basketball.
Correct.
Could we put that into 2 motions?
No,
we're doing the motion on whether or not we want to amend the motion.
I know, but there's 2 distinct features of the motion to amend. But I'm saying we should have a motion to amend for the fence and a second one for the lighting.
Well, I'm sorry, we have Joe's motion on the floor and it was seconded, so it's on the floor. So the discussion is now, Dean wants to break, your suggestion is you're requesting that we break it into 2.
No.
Okay, do we have any other discussion on this motion?
Yes, just the way it's being phrased, the motion.
I see that Dan has his hand up. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out McKinley Park's basketball court has lighting. I believe it's on most of the night. And I believe that having lighting in a park is a great security feature, saying that we're going to intentionally dim an open area of our park at night or turn off lights. It could cause so many other issues. I'd prefer having people who are walking early in the morning, their dogs at 4 a.m., knowing who's on that court, what's going on. I think that lights are just a basic security measure that we've applied for the rest of the community consistently. We've asked for it many other places. I don't see why not on a court. If we're worried about people playing on a court that they're paying for as taxpayers, I just find it a little silly, but that's just me.
Okay. And now I see, Anne, is your hand up again, or is that up from before? No? Okay. And Steve?
Yeah,
Oh, wait. Go
yeah, it's
ahead,
me.
Steve.
Yeah, I just want to point out to Dan's point is that in McKinley Park, there is no house anywhere close. Okay, I think the closest one would be halfway up 75th Street. Across from it is the tennis courts. All around it, there is nothing. That's a completely different situation than what we have here, where the houses are directly across the street. And I think that there's a great chance of disturbance. I frankly don't think 6 hours is enough. I think 8 hours would be fine, but it would be more appropriate. But I'll go with the 6 hours in order to protect those people down there. And Dan, I'm sorry, I just think you're wrong on this one.
Okay. Wei Jing, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I agree with Dan. So should be on for safety reasons. There at least in a couple years ago in the park, Head. So I mean, it's not the park, and I think the lighting out is beneficial to people because there's a lot of. Does that park lock at interest?
No.
It's been like 7.
The skate park is locked, or was locked at one point, the skate park.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just concerned for people.
Okay.
Everyone. 2 o'clock.
Okay. All right. I don't see any other hands. Oh, I do. I'm sorry. I see Steve again. Are you up? Is your hand up again, Steve?
Yeah, there's a big difference between lighting on the basketball court and lighting elsewhere in the park. If we're
Right.
talking about going around on the pads and that kind of thing, nobody is saying not to do that. They're talking about direct
Right.
lighting onto the basketball that
Thank
enables
you.
the playing of basketball.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I don't see anyone else's hand up. So I believe that is the end of the discussion on this. So we will call the question.
Okay, so I'm going to, let's see what we have here. Okay, I'm going to launch polling.
No, we still haven't passed the other motion.
This is for the amendment, right?
No, one.
Oh. This is for the amendment?
Yes.
I used the first
Joe
one. just now.
Josephine, it's Joe in favor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Joe.
I thought we were clear this was on the amendment. No?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. So let me know when you're done, Joe.
Okay. So the motion to amend carries with 24 in favor, 6 opposed, and 1 abstention.
Okay, so now we have before us, thank you. Okay, now we have before us the motion as amended. So that would be what the committee had proposed with the amendments that we just voted on.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
Steve, you have your hand up?
I apologize.
Okay, go ahead, Joe, I'm sorry.
In
Ruth,
favor,
you have your
Josephine.
hand up?
Okay, I have it up.
Yes,
Could you restate clarify the motion, just restate it, please?
Okay, so it is
Not the motion, the amendment to the motion, I'm sorry.
So we were approved, so the chair had presented the committee's recommendation. So it would be all the things that the committee recommended in terms of the modifications to the park, except to have a 6-foot fence and to have at least 6 hours of darkness on the basketball court. Okay, is that?
Thank you.
Okay. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have 25 who voted in favor with 5 opposed. The motion carries.
Thank you, Josephine, and thank you very much, Marty. And that concludes the Parks Committee, and we're moving on to Police and Public Safety with Barbara Vellucci.
Hi, everybody. Our committee met on, let's say May 10th via Zoom. We did have a quorum. It was a bit of a strange meeting, not one that I haven't had like this before. Josephine, is the owner Brenda Paez or the attorney, Mr. Ralph Mesa, with us? I didn't see their names.
No, they didn't, but they did call us. They called during the meeting.
Okay. All right. So this is a new application for liquor, wine, beer, and cider for Brooklyn Bagels and more, doing business as Taqueria El Toro, located at 7302 3rd Avenue. And this is a new application. The owner is Brenda Paez. She was present for our meeting, for part of our meeting. We thought the attorney had signed on, but then he lost communication with us. So it was a bit of a mix-up with the applicants being present. I'll get to that in a second. There is a letter of no objection, as this premise was already a restaurant known as the Hen House. The questionnaire was complete. The menu and the premise photos were provided. There are 6 tables and 26 seats. There will not be any music or outdoor space used. We asked that they revise the checkoff on page 5, that they will agree that there will be no smoking in the outdoor space or the sidewalk. And basically that's not that they're going to be using the outdoor space with tables, but that as patrons, take a break from their meal and go out for a smoke, that we ask the owner to please just ask them not to if they can. Also, there is a question that I have for the applicants, that they say there is a stand-up bar with 6 seats. And as of May 5th, when I went there was no bar nor seats. And I have a question as to where it exactly will be placed, because it is very small. One of the members of our committee stated that this will be the bar, which is really a countertop. That might be the bar. Will there be liquor under, or there'll be a wall? I don't know where they're going to be putting the bar, as there is no structure and there is no liquor being served right now. So like I had said, there was a communication problem, as they were, at least Ms. Paez was signed on, but when we asked these questions, we lost communication. And the committee asked that, we adjourn the meeting, and we asked that they would, call in, or we would adjourn for next month. And then we heard that they were going to apply for the license. Anyway, so we were going to deny outright this evening, but Josephine was able to speak with the attorney, right, Josephine? Jump in anytime. And he agreed to the stipulations. So since we did not have a vote at the meeting, I'm going to ask the board to move to deny this application unless the owner, physically signs and agrees to the following stipulations. And you will see, I've added a new stipulation, which is maintaining 20% glazing. I don't know if there's anything legal about that. But if we get 10 or 15%, I think we're good. But I think this is something that we need so that we can see in to establishments, so they don't cover the windows and the door so you cannot see in. So I think this is something, unless there is a legal objection to this, that I'm going to add this to our usual list of stipulations so that we get them to promise us that they will have eye-level visibility into the establishment. So I'm going to ask the board to move to deny this application unless the owner agrees to the following stipulations. The premise will operate as a restaurant. The owner or manager will be present at all times. There will be no sale or consumption of alcohol on the premises until appropriate authorization as issued by the SLA. Their hours of operation will be Sunday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 12 a.m., and Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. There will not be background recorded music, that the noise level will remain below the level permitted by the New York City Noise Code at all times. There will be no music on the outside of the premises, and there will be no use of outdoor space. The licensee shall not use any promoter or have promoted events. There will be no subletting. There will be no smoking permitted. That there will be maintained a 20% glazing at eye level, visible view into the establishment. And the applicant agrees that should it change its method of operation, it will give notice and meet with the community board or committee at least 45 days in advance of any such change. So I ask for a motion from the floor of the board to accept this recommendation.
Okay, so so the committee was not able to reach these steps with the applicant at the time, right? Because of your communication issues?
Correct, but Josephine had a conversation with him today.
Yes, okay. So then, Barbara, so you're making this motion?
Yes.
So we would need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sandy. And now the motion is on the floor and I'll open it to discussion. I actually have a question on the stipulation with regard to the music. It says there will not be background recorded music and the sound level will remain within the noise code. But so does that mean they get to play it somewhere in between what's considered background and what the noise code permits? I mean, is there like a level of sound in between? It's just phrased oddly. Or did they say no music is my question?
Well, yeah, they said no music. There was no DJ, there was nothing, and no to everything. So,
okay.
That's just I could just change that. There will be no music. That's just one of my stipulations. I'll just change that. Got it.
Okay. I was just curious about the language.
Yep,
okay.
yep.
So let's see. Do we have any discussion? Any hands up? Let me take a look.
I have a question.
1 second. Okay, so I see Anne, and Anne, you had your hand up again?
You're on mute, Anne.
Yes, I agree with the intent about the glazing, but I think that 20% is too little. And also that the sentence needs to be a little more clarity in terms of clear glazing as opposed to translucent or obscure glazing.
Well, I think the glazing is, I'm going to say a jargon, because I'm just going to read the way I have it, because this is the way it was done during the meeting.
Okay.
That they will be maintained. I learned the word glazing at our last meeting. They will be maintained at 20% glazing at eye level, visible view into the establishment. So you're going to be able to see into the establishment. So if they have drapes or covering, usually it's paper or shading that they block everything up. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think that this is a function of terminology. I think what Anne is pointing out, because she does have a little expertise in this area. So glazing may be a term of art. So I think she's making the tweak there. But I do understand, Barbara, that the applicant has already agreed to this language, which, you know, it's not saying it's written in stone. We can, you know, if the suggestion, if there's discussion that would, you know, make a change to that. But I think that's, so Anne, what does glazing mean, you know, as a term of art?
Glazing means a glass material. So glass is not only clear.
What happens if I just took out the word glazing? They will maintain 20% at eye level visible view. I mean, I don't think that he will now say, no, I want the word glazing in there.
I think that's fine. Barbara, I love this as a concept, not just for this project, but as you indicated, just as a something that we might ask for going forward.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steve, oh, you got it? Okay. Steve Harrison?
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused as to how this agreement came about. Normally, what happens is that they put themselves on record at the committee level. Here we have them calling in and saying they agreed, but how do we know exactly what it is that they've agreed to? It's not like at a committee level, you have the exact wording. Here we just have somebody that called in and said, yeah, we agree. So how do we hold them to it?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Steve. I do have it in writing an email. So what happened was he had technical issues, very not good with this new technology. His client really wanted to proceed because of the time involved taking the SLA license. So I posed this to him in writing and he responded in writing. These are the typical, you know, standard stipulations. He went back to his client. She was CC'd on the email. I should have put that up, but I do have that in writing that he agreed. And he called during the meeting. He couldn't sign on again. So we were trying to accommodate him. Yeah.
Good job. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, Julie, you have your hand?
I was just confused about, I know it sounds stupid, but why is it bagels and more doing business as? What's with the bagels? I mean,
that's just their,
was it a bagel store?
That was their corporate name. Maybe they started out when they formed the corporation with an idea to do bagels and, you know, changed, you know, that's just the corporate name that they filed.
Completely different. Okay, so it wasn't the intention originally to have a different business, like a bagel business, and then they switched to.
It may have been, but they ended up with
Taqueria El Toro.
I was just totally confused by that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Steve, is your hand up again or just not down? You're down. Okay. All right. I do not see any other hands up. So we will call the question. So the motion is to disapprove the application unless the stipulations that were posted by Barbara are agreed to by the applicant. So the polling is up.
In favor.
Thank you, Joe.
Barbara, I just have a quick question. Was the prior applicant, did they ever get licensed? I know that they had thought about it for a while, and then the prior
that was before my time. You were the chair of the committee then.
Well, we approved it, but I don't think they ever actually went through with it.
I think they closed.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, it's adopted unanimously.
Excellent.
Okay,
so
very
good luck to them.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Barbara. And now we are on to zoning and land use.
Okay.
Doris.
I need your patience. The Zoning and Land Use Committee met in quorum via Zoom on May 6th. The first item on the agenda was a discussion of the Department of City Planning, DCP's zoning text amendment, zoning for accessibility. As discussed last month, the MTA is committed to increase access citywide and to make sure that no one is more than 2 stations from a handicap acceptable station. The proposed text amendment will create a citywide easement program. A developer within 50 feet of a subway entrance exit and with a lot size of 5,000 square feet or more will be granted an easement to allow the MTA to install an elevator or any other access to the station. The developer will be granted a height increase, an increase in bulk, and flexibility in the street wall design. We did not vote on this last month because I was confused as to whether the text amendment had been certified. It had been certified. The extra month gave us time to review the amendment and what impact it would have on CB10. Traditionally, the MTA only installs elevators at manned stations where there's a token booth attendant. When asked about this, they said they would be flexible on this issue. Knowing this, it adds additional locations for possible elevator service. I was concerned about the use of the 93rd Street exit, which is in the CA triangle, and the possibility of a rezoning that would include extra height under the rezoning for affordability and an extra 10 feet for zoning for accessibility. But the zoning for accessibility has very strict requirements for distance from curb cuts or driveways. And those restrictions make the 93rd Street area extremely unlikely for use by the MTA. The MTA advised that while they were creating this easement program, if there are no appropriate locations in a community board, the MTA can still install elevators, because as was noted previously, there are very few locations in most of the 4th Avenue corridor that allow for a 5,000 square foot lot. The committee voted to approve the zoning text amendment for accessibility. So a motion is on the floor. Any questions, any comments, any discussion? So we have discussed this twice, so.
Okay, you want me to put up the poll?
Shall we call the question?
I think you should call it. I don't see any hands up.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna do it.
In
Okay.
favor, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
I don't have the vote on my screen.
Okay, so how do you vote, Julie? It is up. I don't know why it's not up.
I don't have it, but in favor.
In favor. Okay, we'll mark Julie Thumb as in favor.
Usual.
Larry. Okay, so the motion carries with 33, 34, 34 with everyone voting in the affirmative. You got Joe and 1 recusal.
Okay. Okay, Doris.
Thank you. Okay, the second item on the agenda was a discussion of the Department of City Planning hotel text amendment. This amendment would require a special permit for the siting of hotels. Several years ago, the city adopted a hotel text amendment requiring a special permit for hotels in manufacturing zones, which CB10 supported. But at that time, CB10 said that the text amendment should be extended to commercial zones. Now the Department of City Planning is extending the special permit to commercial zones. The committee welcomes this proposal, but we were unclear as to what commercial zones would require a special permit. In the online presentation that I saw, the DCP said it would apply to high commercial zones. They did not define high. A motion was made to ask the Department of City Planning to define high. In addition, hotels are allowed as of right in C2 districts, a low commercial district, within 1,000-foot radius of entrance or exit of a limited access expressway. There are several locations in CB10 that meet this criteria. we need to learn more about this. So no motion was taken. The meeting was adjourned in 45 minutes. The zoning, there will be a presentation on the hotel tax amendment on May 26th, which I hope all the members of the Zoning and Land Use Committee will attend.
Thank you.
Okay.
There are more Department of City Planning text amendments proposed, and which is quite unusual that we're really getting a huge amount of change pushed on us at one time. One would be the health and fitness text amendment, which as proposed would reduce barriers to establishing and opening community gyms and other health facilities such as day spas and massage parlors. As proposed, it would allow the siting of spas and massage parlors in residential districts. There was serious concern about this because in spas and day spas and massage parlors, there is a history of sex trafficking. This concern is now being reviewed by several city agencies after questions raised by many community boards. So this is being considered. Also of equal concern is the siting of gyms in residential zones. They combine gyms and yoga establishments. But many fitness establishments operate long hours, often from 5 a.m. to midnight, and many have loud music as a part of their exercise routines. I am concerned about residents living above these facilities and the impact on their quality of life. Remember that there was a CrossFit establishment on 3rd Avenue near 85th Street. And not only did it impact the people living there, but if you're walking down the street, you might be run into someone with weights. So this, as of the presentation that I saw, this text amendment has not been certified. They expect to have it certified by June 7th. There is also a proposed open restaurants text amendment to make the Department of Transportation's open restaurants permanent. So all those restaurant sheds on the street could be made permanent. In a short presentation on the topic, the Department of City Planning was very vague on details. They said they did not know when it would be made permanent. They did not know who would be the enforcing agents. And I am concerned about sidewalk space, hours of operation, and street safety. I believe that the text amendment allows for a reduction in sidewalk access. Right now, if you have a sidewalk cafe, there is a minimum amount of space that must be left. This text amendment would reduce that amount of space, so there would be less sidewalk space available. This text amendment is not yet certified, and they expect to have it certified by June 7th. Dealing with 4 text amendments in a short period is extremely unusual. At one briefing, the DCP said that it is their goal to have the amendments adopted by the end of the term. This is an unusual statement by DCP, but if most of these text amendments, they hope to be certified within the next few weeks and would be before community boards during the hiatus period. But if they want the text amendment adopted by the end of the term for this administration is December 31st. Communities should have additional time to consider so many complex text amendments. These text amendments should not be rushed through in late May and June as community boards go on hiatus. I ask your help in reviewing these text amendments. Three of these text amendments have one thing in common. They remove community input from the process. I think it's very important that we have the appropriate amount of time to review these and that we be given the appropriate amount of time. And I ask, these are zoning text amendments, but there are transportation issues involved. So I asked some support for some support from the Transportation Committee. And there are SLA implications, because if they want to advise, allow all these restaurants to now include the street, it changes the impact of the SLA approvals that we have given. So we need all of your help on this. I have been really stretched for last month and I need help. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Doris.
Okay, thank you, Doris. And we are working on trying to break out the division of labor on this. What is made more difficult in that process is that the briefings that we've received on some of these text amendments, their plans are very incomplete at this point, which I find unusual. Normally, when we have a text amendment put forth, they're able to give us, when we have questions, give us straightforward answers. They have the plan worked out. I feel with such a short timeline that, they propose to have these certified in very short order. And when questions were put by various community boards, chairs and district managers, including our own, there just aren't answers. They don't know how they're going to work out. Many they have sweeping ideas of maybe how some of these things will work, but they really don't have details. And that makes it very difficult for us to analyze, since we don't know what they're really going to do. To my mind in this, and I think that some of Doris's comments were, with regard to the open restaurants amendment, it's very broad sweeping in the areas that it touches. You have traffic, it's in the street. You have SLA issues, as Doris pointed out, in terms of licensing, the building of these structures, how much of the street can you take up, garbage removal, sanitation, how are we going to, there are so many issues, so many questions. There's so much being thrown at us. So yes, Doris, was trying to get you help. and hopefully, as we get more material to disseminate to all of you, please try to read it, because they're really putting us on a short timeline on this. And I feel that it is somewhat, at least in my tenure, and I don't know, some of you have been here much longer, a bit unprecedented in the amount that's being thrown at us and the timeline that they're proposing. So,
and I would ask that the councilmen get involved and be sure that community boards have appropriate time to deal with legislation and that we have clear direction from what they're, because right now, as Lori said, it's to be very colloquial, it's very loosey-goosey. There are no concrete really proposals, and on many questions they were asked, they said, we don't know, we haven't worked that out yet. So how can you ask the community board to weigh in on something where you don't know what you're asking for?
Yes, and touching on, one of the traffic and transportation issue with regard to 7th and 8th Avenues, which is really within Marie's purview. It's interesting because they're proposing a revised sort of review. Normally it goes to the community boards and we give their direct feedback, but they are appointing a committee to review, which is something that's different, that hasn't come before. So we're following that. And a lot of our community boards, neighboring community boards are weighing in on that as well. So I just wanted everyone to be aware of this. I thank you, Doris. And now we are moving on to the Communications and Public Relations Committee report.
Sorry, hi everyone. So the Communications and Public Relations Committee meeting met at 7 p.m. on May 4th, 2021. We met in quorum. The presentation, the agenda on the agenda was the presentation regarding ranked choice voting to be used in the upcoming June 22nd primary election. The committee met with Shannon Curran Taspax and Joe Maisel from Ranked Choice New York, who provided an informative presentation on how ranked choice voting works in the upcoming June 22nd primary election. Currently in New York City, ranked choice is only for special elections and primaries, and New York City will still use the plurality system in the general election. The meeting was live streamed to the CB10 YouTube channel, and we recommend that board members review the recording because the presentation was very good. Excuse me. Allergies. Excuse me. In addition, the link will be distributed to the community via the newsletter to help educate the community on this upcoming change. The meeting was adjourned at 7:45, respectfully submitted.
Oh, can I speak? I just wanted to compliment the committee for that very concise and helpful workshop. I watched it not after the fact. It's very quick to watch. It was excellent, and if you can get at it, you should recommend it to your family members who are puzzled by ranked choice voting. It made it very simple. So I highly recommend it.
Okay. I don't see any other questions. Lori? Did we lose?
Okay. Do we have
Okay.
Tracy? We are going to move on to our nominating committee with Tracy.
I get to switch hats.
Oh, there you are. Hi.
Hi. All right. The members of the 2021 nominating committee are Ruth Greenfield Mazer, Susan Pulaski, Judith Grimaldi, Anthony Marino, and Tracy Britton serving as chair of the committee. The nominating committee met in quorum on April 22nd, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. over Zoom. The purpose of the meeting was to establish the procedure for notifying board members that the nominating committee was accepting nominations for officer positions for fiscal year 2022, which runs from January 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. The committee decided that the district office staff would email board members stating that the nominating committee would accept submissions from board members interested in being nominated for community board officer positions until noon on Monday, May 10th, 2021. A copy of the email is attached to this report. The nominating committee met for a second time on Tuesday, May 11th, 2021 at 7 p.m. again via Zoom. All of the current officers had contacted the committee indicating that they agreed to run for another term in the office they currently hold. As no other board members expressed a desire to be nominated for an officer position, the committee unanimously voted to present the slate of officers for fiscal year 2022 as follows. Chair Lori Willis, Vice Chair Jane Marie Kapitanakis, Secretary Sandy Vallis, Treasurer Shirley Chin. I would like to thank the members of the nominating committee for serving on this year's committee. Respectfully submitted, Tracy Britton, nominating committee chair. And,
thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go. Sorry.
No, I was just going to open up the floor. Would you like me to continue, Lori? Sorry.
Sure, go ahead. I don't see any comment. I have no hands raised.
Okay. So now at this point, I would like to call for any nominations from the floor for the position of treasurer. Do we have anyone?
No, we don't have anyone.
So as there are no nominations, I'd like to close the nominations for treasurer and ask for a second.
Second.
Thank you. And now I'd like to call for any nominations from the floor for position of secretary.
I don't see any hands.
Nope, don't see any.
Okay, so I would like to motion to close the nominations for secretary and ask for a second.
Second.
Thank you. I would like to call for any nominations from the floor for the position of vice chair.
I do not see any hands raised.
I motion to close the nominations for vice chair and ask for a second to the motion.
Second.
Dan?
And lastly, I'd like to call for any nominations from the floor for position of chair.
Nope, don't see any.
And and ask for a second for the motion.
Second.
Barbara.
Okay, and so at this point, I'd like to close the nominations for Community Board 10 officers for fiscal year 2020. And I need a second for that motion, and then we're calling a vote, correct, Josephine?
No, no. Yeah, at the next, at the June board meeting, the secretary will cast one vote for the slate.
Understood. Okay, I saw a second for the closing the nominations for fiscal year 2022.
Second.
Okay, Julie.
So,
Okay.
yep, I think.
So next month it will be on the calendar, and the secretary will be on the agenda, and the secretary will cast one vote.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Tracy. Okay, and now we move on to old business or unfinished business. Does anyone have any item? I'm sorry, did I hear someone?
I said, don't we all have old business?
Larry, is your hand up?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Recently, I sent Josephine an obituary of a famous architect, Helmut Jahn. I know Ann is probably familiar with his work. He was killed riding his bike. He's an octogenarian. He was riding his bicycle in the suburb of Chicago when he was struck by two vehicles. Now, this tragedy could have been avoided if we did not stop this policy of mixing vehicular traffic with bicycles. We don't mix pedestrians with motor vehicle traffic or electric vehicle traffic for that matter. And it's just this folly. It's continuing. It's going to continue. It's going to happen. And just yesterday, I was proceeding a green light and drove my car into the intersection. And sure enough, this bicyclist comes right in front of me. She had her earphones on. She's just riding it blithely, oblivious to all the traffic conditions. Now, this is another tragedy that almost happened yesterday. Just wanted to make a comment about, famous people get hurt too. Riding bicycles in the middle of vehicular traffic.
Okay,
bicycle
thank
lanes,
you.
no. Have bicycle paths separate from vehicular traffic? That's a good idea, but not this folly of just mixing the two. You're gonna have a truck that's many tons worth and is certainly gonna crush a person. It's just like a small motor vehicle could too.
I had the same experience today, Larry. I was turning onto my own block at 79th Street stopped at a red light. So I was not going fast. And as I went to turn, I think it was a motorbike, came shooting up right behind me as I was turning. I almost hit him. I was horrified. Fortunately, I saw him out of the corner of my eyes and I stopped. But I don't know how you prevent that, except.
The mayor wants to have licensed bicycles as well as motorized bicycles. I mean, they're simply breaking the rules, going against lights, against traffic, on sidewalks.
Okay.
With your car, you'd end up in jail. It's
Do
just.
we have any other comments on that? Okay, I would just like to add, I agree that there's a problem with expectations on the road, on the sidewalks now. Drivers, people walking, people on bicycles need to know where to expect, where to look for pedestrians, vehicles, etc. That's why we have rules. We have traffic devices. When you stop at a red light, you're expecting, you know, the vehicles and you know, pedestrians to obey their signals and vehicles to obey theirs. I think that with, you know, motorized bicycles or whatever we're calling them now, you know, and even with the new rules regarding bicycle traffic, it is hard to know where to expect to see, you know, the other people who share the road, you know, whatever they're on. And I do think that we need clearer direction on it. And I also believe that there should be enforcement. I agree with Judy that it's become a scary proposition sometimes just to drive your car, to know where to expect, to look for, you know, bicycles that are going straight, bicycles that are turning, other motorized vehicles that are turning. You know, cars also need to obey the traffic devices, and we need enforcement for that. You know, and pedestrians as well need to be alert and aware. So it's become a greater problem, and we're hearing it on you know, all levels, as we've heard during this meeting, but many other times.
It's like certainly, I couldn't believe what I saw. She was riding a bicycle with she was listening to her, we used to call it, she had her earphones on.
Yeah.
And I remember some years ago, I visited in California. There's a woman who insisted on riding her bicycle with her earphones on her. She got run over by a freight train. So, I mean, this is.
Okay. Do we have anyone else on old business? Okay. Any new business?
I just want to mention something, if I may.
Sure. Go ahead, Julie.
I probably should have said when Tori Kelly was speaking, but we also have a drop-off point for the food pantry at my office at Remax at 8201 3rd Avenue. And I just want to let everyone know if they have anything to drop off. There's a list of the items that are appropriate besides food, toothbrushes, and things of the like that we would like to drop off at my office. We're open from 10 to 6 every day and 10 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday. Please feel free to bring items. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Julie. And I'm sorry, where can we find that list? Just so we.
I actually posted it on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and whatever, and it's also in my office. You know, so if any.
Could you send it to Josephine? Maybe she could distribute it to us. Would you mind, Josephine?
No, yeah, sure. I could send it, definitely.
Great,
thank you. Right away.
Thank you very much. Ruth, you have your hand up? You're on mute. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, I just did it. Can't do it fast enough. I don't know that this fits under new business, but I just wanted to mention that today and tomorrow is a Jewish holiday, the holiday of Shavuot. Some people call it Shavuot. Some people say Shavuos. It's the holiday that marks the giving of the 10 Commandments. Basic rules that we all live by. So it's a celebration of that. And it is traditional to eat cheesecake. So we like that. It also is a holiday that celebrates spring and celebrates the picking of all the fruits of the season. So have lots of cheesecake, everybody.
Thank you. I vote in favor of this new business. Okay, and I see that Tracy has her hand up.
Yes, I'm not sure if this falls into the new business as well, but I was just wondering.
Go for it.
If one could tell me when the water fountains in the dog parks will be reopened, because in Owl's Head they're open in the park, but they're not they're not running or activated in the dog parks. And there's been some really hot days lately. And I noticed that people are bringing water bottles and filling up.
I will definitely reach out to Parks and I'll let you know tomorrow, Tracy.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Anne, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Board Chair Lori Willis for a really thoughtful and thought-provoking report.
Thank you. Doris?
Well, I want to reiterate what Ann said. You really covered a lot, and was really important, but I want to reiterate the proposed changes to the real estate tax law and how it impacts us. And there needs to be a huge outreach to our community and all communities, and it be given the proper time to review it.
Okay. All right. So okay. I do not see any other hands up. So I think this means that maybe someone might want to make a motion to adjourn.
Yes, motion to adjourn.
Thank you,
Sandy, do I have a second?
Second.
Tracy? And somehow this motion always carries. So, I mean, thank you very much, everyone. And I hope you have a good night, and we will adjourn.
Great.
Let's
Thank you.
go eat cheesecake
Good
now.
night. Thank you.
Thank you.